poppin'? Logan Murdock here, Belle there. Howard Beck, the curmudgeon in the motherfucking cut. How's everybody doing? Good to see you, Beck. Hello.
That cannot be a permanent part of my intro. That just cannot. Stop it now. Nice to see you guys.
I'm just. Oh wow! You do the thing that coaches do when they. You do like Steve Kerr says when he says Kuminga's not the doghouse, and then he explains to the media why Kuminga's in the doghouse. That's what you just did right now. You were just like, "Oh, I'm not a curmudgeon. Fuck off, motherfucker." It's fine. It's really the secret of this show is there's actually 3 curmudgeons on the show, and we just talk things out. That's Roger. Don't give me that look. Roger, do not give me that look.
What look?
The non-curmudgeon. I'm not a curmudgeon, but I'm really a curmudgeon look.
No. I am a self-proclaimed curmudgeon. Like I am
proud of it, right?
And all its curmudgeonness.
Proud of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Good. Fucking love it. All right, cool. I'm just saying, you gave me a look like you ain't really out here.
No, I was giving you a look.
Streets.
It was meant to be more of a confirmatory look, if that's a word.
Okay.
It is now.
Yeah. Thank you, Howard.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of curmudgeons, Mr. Gregg Popovich is stepping down as coach of the San Antonio Spurs and now is the team president of basketball ops. This came right before the pod. We're going to talk playoffs in a second. But I brought this to Howard at first. And Howard, what do you think of this? We kind of started the discussion on what this means. But what does this mean in your interpretation? Based on everything we've heard this season and saw this season, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera and all in between, what does this particular move mean for the Spurs going forward and Popovich as a whole?
I mean, we're going to wear out the term end of an era by the end of this podcast, by the end of the next week. Like, I just don't even know how you possibly speak to, encompass, describe the totality of Gregg Popovich's impact on the Spurs, the league, basketball worldwide, hell, even politics and the intersection of sports and politics, like so many dimensions to Gregg Popovich. And he has been, guys, I've been covering this league for 28 years. I can't remember a time that Popovich was not an integral and front-facing part of this league. So, in some ways, this is not the same as like when David Stern retired as commissioner, of course. That's a different station. But I don't know. Maybe it is. It may be just as big in terms of the actual basketball. It is hard to imagine the NBA without Pop, his influence, his voice, all of it. The curmudgeonliness. Now I'm inventing words, Raja.
The Webster's Dictionary episode of Real Ones is upon us.
It's expanding by the second. It's hard to imagine the NBA without him, period, on every possible level. So you just have to start there. But I will also just say this. I'm not surprised this is where this landed. From the moment the stroke happened, obviously earlier in the season, to the vague health scare of a couple of weeks ago, I had been talking to people who know him well, even within the last couple of months, who, without saying it definitively, made it pretty clear to me they did not expect him back. But I think everybody's being very respectful of Pop. He has earned that. Take all the time and space you need to make this decision. But I don't think we should be surprised at the outcome.
Yeah. I think, when I think about this season for him, and also like, I know there was a couple of people that I had talked to, not like in depth in his circle or whatever, just a league wide or whatever. When he signed that 5-year contract to coach Wemby, even that was a little bit of surprise, right? Like that he was going to go all in on this commitment as a coach. And there was a sense that there's like really no riding off into the sunset with Pop. Like he's going to coach till it's over. And I just wonder how he's going to adjust to the front office role and what that actually means, right? Because R.C. Buford is also in the mix. There's also an established front office culture with the Spurs that he is a part of. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Like what is his role going to be as he fits into this new ecosystem where there's a big difference between coach and GM and front office member, right? And he kind of tackled that line in the Bill Belichick way. But I'm just wondering how it's going to be an adjustment. Do you have any idea how it would be an adjustment if you had to guess, Howard, of him just strictly being a front office person right now? I know what it will be like not coaching every day because that's his passion, but like the day-to-day work of a front officeman, how that will lead to a sort of transition for him.
I think sometimes it's really difficult for a coach to step away and be something else, right? We saw Phil Jackson, if infamously, I would say, move into the front office with the Knicks because he just couldn't physically coach anymore. He wanted to be on the sideline, and in lieu of that, he says, "Well, I'll go try to run a team," but he wasn't really suited for it. It wasn't the right role, and it didn't go well, to be clear. Pop, it's different because there's really no choice in his case either. But Pop has always been both president and coach for as long as I can recall, and so the aspect of strategizing, of putting together a team, of managing talent, of scouting talent, of having the long view and just understanding the mechanics of how to construct a team, and having people that he's worked with for, in R.C. Buford's case for decades, and in Brian Wright's case for many years, this is Pop's organization, right? Like the Holtz own the team, but this is Pop's organization and has been for so long that I'm glad he is at least hanging on to that piece of it, the front office piece of it, because everything that we talk about, Spurs culture, the Spurs dynasty, the Tim Duncan era, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, through to Kawhi Leonard, Wembanyama, like all of this, it's Pop's DNA all over it, right? Like the Pop and R.C. Buford will be the first to tell you there is no Spurs culture or dynasty without Tim Duncan. We're the lucky ones who got to draft Tim Duncan. They will say that. They are very humble about that. But you have to set the agenda and you have to instill what the values are from the franchise's perspective too. And Pop is a very, as we know, powerful voice, and that has mattered for a long time. And I think it's important that he's still there, not just as some figurehead, but as a day-to-day voice and resource, as whether it's Mitch Johnson or whoever else becomes, the head coach. As they move forward, having Pop there, I think it matters. Kind of in the same way, The Ringer produced the Celtic City documentary, which just wrapped up. Red Auerbach.
Yep.
One of the things
that's what I thought about.
Yeah, one of the things that really struck me in watching Celtic City was how many franchises have a guy not just who is tied to your glory days.
Bro,
if you had glory days,
I thought that Red Auerbach owned the Celtics. Like I literally thought that he was the principal owner of the Celtics till he died. And I was like 11 when he died, but I still thought like it took till him dying to be like, oh, he actually isn't the owner of the Celtics. That's someone else.
Yeah.
That's how much you had.
Pop is their Auerbach. He is, in some ways the heart and soul and conscience and their history. And so that's really rare, like Jerry West was that for the Lakers for a long time, having won a championship with them and having gone from, player to head of basketball ops for decades. But it's really, really rare to have that kind of continuity with one person who embodies what your franchise and all of its success is about. Yeah. So I think it's really important, and it's great that Pop is staying on in whatever role that becomes.
Raja, honorary Spur, Raja Belle. What are your thoughts on this?
Howard said it very well, I think. I would just add, he's going to do whatever he wants to do. Like that's, in terms of the role you asked, what would he play in the organization? I mean, they're so buttoned up and so kind of like, they're like really well kind of woven together as an organization, right? So like fitting him into a role is not going to be difficult for them in that front office, whatever that becomes, and it'll probably be whatever he kind of wants it to be. And more importantly, I think even than the basketball, I would just say like he's too good of a human being and a mind and a person to risk the health anymore. If you're that's a high stress. Coaching is, amongst a lot of things, a very, very high stress, gig, and doing it for as long as some of these guys have done it is remarkable. I've coached only youth level basketball and high school. And when I tell you that my stress level is exponentially higher during the parts of the year when I'm doing that than it is when I'm not, like that isn't like hyperbolic. Like I am really stressed out. So at 76 years old, for everything he's done for the game, for everything he's done for people in the game, myself included, I think it's time. If the health is an issue, it's time get involved in another way. because people want him around.
Roger, do you ever like all your friends play for the Spurs and you tried out for the Spurs? It's like when you see the Spurs, is it like that Dante DiVincenzo commercial that comes on where he walks away and they have to throw him the hat and
I'm fuck Spurs.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right.
that's what I'm
okay.
affectionately. No. Listen, I think anybody would tell you that if they
shit.
That's some Spurs Sun stuff coming through right there.
Oh, fuck them. But anybody given the opportunity to have a chance to play for them and having squandered it because you probably weren't ready would tell you, man, it would have been dope. I would have loved to have been a Spur, even if it was just for a fraction of real NBA regular season time. I just thought that who I wanted to be, not necessarily who I was, but who I wanted to be was aligned with what they were, right? Like I aspired to be that kind of player. Like the DNA of who I had to be to play in the league. And Pop said as much to me later in my career. Like we'd always have our exchanges before the games. I think I could have fit well there. As it were, like I was a year too early, probably, maybe even a year and a half too early for my skill set to be ready, to help them. But I still cherish the time I was there. It was still great. I was able to rub elbows with Hall of Famers and work out with Avery Johnson, at Life College over and over again. And honestly, I don't get to play. I tell this when I speak at camps and I do the motivational speaking thing once in a while. Like Gregg Popovich is the only reason I wound up in Philadelphia.
Did he make a call, right?
Him and Larry Brown were best friends. So I don't wind up there, which starts my whole career if Pop doesn't make the call. So, I owe them a lot.
Yeah.
I'm still fuck Spurs.
Even after Tim Duncan came on this pod and said you're one of us.
Nah, I'm telling you, it's weird, right? Like
Howard, Tim Duncan came on his podcast and basically was like, "You're an honorary Spur. You're part of the family." It got only other time I've ever seen Raja like this was on the Ben Stiller episode, but he got a little choked up. He was like, "Thanks, dude."
Little misty-eyed Raja.
Yeah, he got out of character. He was like,
"They're the gold standard."
Thanks, dude.
They were like, "Yeah, I mean, and not for nothing, you are right." Like, I was cool with a lot of those dudes. Like, a lot of dudes that were left over kind of remembered me from being in their training camps. I mean, I was the last cut. Like I think were you like the
little homie a little bit, like this the because you were a rook around that time, right?
I was a rook, and I was the last cut. So I think some people had started to wrap their mind around I might be a Spur, and so for a lot of reasons, yeah, man. But when I think of the people that when I walked into a building and they were coaching against us, that figure and what their team represented loomed larger than the game itself. Like the Spurs were that. The Lakers were that. There weren't many teams that were that.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to say. I don't know if I'm doing it any justice, but when you go into games, it's not that you're intimidated by the team because we can't do that. We got to come out here and play the game. But the franchise, the coach, the mystique behind it, the things that make it even more special when you play against them, if that makes sense. The Spurs, the Lakers, the Knicks for obvious reasons. It wasn't really the teams, but it was the building. But there are few of those, and the Spurs were always that.
Yeah.
Raja, real quick, Logan, I know we need to get to playoff stuff, but Raja, we think of Pop as being the consummate old school coach. We talked about him being curmudgeonly and crusty and all this other stuff. But I've always looked at him as being able to do both, where he's also the guy who, after he chews you out, puts his arm around Tony Parker and talks him back up and stuff too. I'm curious, in your time, do you think players regarded Pop as is that a guy you wanted to avoid? Did some players want to avoid him because it was no, he's too much the old school hard ass, which doesn't play as well in today's NBA? And then to that point, literally today's NBA, because you've been out for a while now yourself. Do you think that model is going by the wayside? Do you think today's players were maybe looking at him going I'm not sure if I want to deal with all that comes with that, as brilliant as he is?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I do think that even when I played, there would be people that didn't know him, Howard, that didn't spend time with him, that could see the gruff kind of exterior and be like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. But you have to experience him to know that, like, yeah, that's part of it. But the other part of it is it far outweighs, that superficial level, right? Because like there's a care that he has for you. There's a human being there. There's a depth of knowledge, and there's a real psychology behind what he's doing. To your point, like, you ever seen Tim Duncan, like a player of Tim Duncan's level? I'll never forget it. Popovich pulled this man out in the first minute of a playoff game. I believe it was a playoff game. Don't quote me on that, but it did happen. He pulled him out in the first minute of the game, reamed his ass out at the scores table, and sent him back to the scores table to check back in. I was like, oh shit. He just did that to Tim Duncan, but like he had invested in you so much at that point that like even the Tim Duncans of the world were like, yeah, man, that's cool, because like our relationship is that strong. So I do think that there were people that would not know that because they didn't experience that. In today's NBA, I think it's harder to do it, obviously, with our player today and our kid in general. But I also think, if we're being fair, Pop, as you get older, I know I'm experiencing this, you have less patience. Like, and as I have more kids, I have less time to be like explaining the things that I explained to maybe the first one, because I'm tired. Like, I'm a little more fried. And so if you combine those two, like maybe he's not the exact same person that he was like 10, 15 years ago. I mean, it's still probably, he's all time, but like, it's difficult, Howard, right? You would have to be even more accommodating for today's player in a way that Pop, as he got older, was probably a little less accommodating.
Yeah. And then on that note, Mitch Johnson has been, the assistant Mitch Johnson has been hired as head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. So big day in the history of both the league and the San Antonio Spurs. Let's put a bow on that. I'm sure we'll talk about Pop a lot throughout this podcast in the coming years and months. I want to talk about the Knicks. The Knicks and the Pistons first, and we'll get to a little Clippers talk and some other stuff I want to get to throughout this pod. But we talked about at the onset, me, Raja, and Howard, that this series was predicated on poise. And the team with the most poise was going to win this series. And that held true in Game 6, where it felt like Detroit thought they were there for the moment, but ultimately was not there in the last minute. And I feel like everyone who watched this series won it. It just happened that the Knicks got through. I'll start with Howard. What were your thoughts on this series, and what did Game 6 teach us about both teams?
I mean, I think we all thought it was going to be like Knicks in 6 or 7, right? I don't even remember what our predictions were on the fly a couple weeks back.
Cliff.
But like, except Cliff, we thought the Pistons were going to smoke them.
We'll get to him in a second.
I mean, listen, let me start on the Pistons side of it, because we'll have time to talk about the Knicks for the next couple of weeks at least. The Pistons, I thought they really showed a lot. They did get this thing to Game 6. Not only did they get this to Game 6, but it's a play or two away from winning it and forcing it back to the Garden for a Game 7. Not only that, but aside from Game 1, so they're in Game 1 into the fourth quarter. And suddenly you blink and it's a 21-zip Knicks run, and the Pistons are suddenly not in it. But what happened after that? The Pistons win Game 2 at the Garden. This young team steals home court advantage. They lose 2 games at home in 3 and 4, but both of those were decided by like razor-thin margins. They lose 5, a game they could have won. Like, all of them went down the stretch. So like, aside from the first loss, all of these were really close games. I think the final 3 losses were by 6 combined points. And when you're a young team that's prone to making errors or freezing up at the wrong moment in a tight fourth quarter, yeah, that's what happens. A play or two is going to kill you. But they were right there. And they weren't even whole, right? Isaiah Stewart didn't play most of the series. Jaden Ivey, of course, has been out since January. The Pistons, like, there's nothing negative coming out of this. This is a team that just broke through, had their best season in forever, tripled their win total. Cade Cunningham's a freaking stud. Duran is on his way. Thompson is on his way. I just thought they were really impressive across the board. The Knicks did what they had to do. I think the Pistons stressed them to the limits, and I think they very easily could have lost this series. And I think that even as I've made the rounds with some of my friends who are Knicks fans the last couple of days, they're a little antsy. Not just Ben. They're antsy, and I think there's kind of almost an acceptance. They all kind of like they hope they can beat Boston. They don't expect to beat Boston. Fans.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Knicks themselves, just the fans.
I mean, as an observer, I don't think they'll beat Boston. I think they're just matchup wise, they're not there yet. I'll just say Boston in 6. But what I wanted to get to, and specifically, and I want to get to Raja on this, about that 6th game, and specifically down the stretch, right, where it reminded me a lot of the Game 6 of the 2010 first round series against OKC and the Lakers. And I know it's a little bit different context of like a champion and things like that, but it's more about how the game went and the two types of teams and where they were in their trajectories. Roger's giving me a look, and
I can't. I just couldn't. My bad. I couldn't remember.
Block him out.
Explain to me what happened in that, because I have no idea. 2010.
Pretty much, honestly, to a T, exactly what happened in this game is Game 6 in 2025, where the younger team, OKC, they're playing in OKC down the stretch, are just giving the Lakers everything that they can give, and it comes down to a Pau Gasol tip-in layup to win the game off of a I think it was a Kobe airball pass or something like that. But it was the same kind of context in the younger team that's up and coming, pushing the older team to the limits, and the older team is like, "Yo, we got to win this game right now because Game 7 is not promised at all, based on how good these young Bulls are." And I want to get back to that final minute in the 2025 first round where, Azur Thompson is a monster on defense throughout the whole game, and then it comes down to this play against Jalen, and Jalen just has the upper hand. What I want you to do, Raja, is just take me through both sides of that, where you have the young player that is really, really good and a young team that's really, really good, and they don't know what they don't know, going up against a player that is accomplished in Brunson and has been to not the mountaintop, but has been to really high heights in the league. What are both players feeling in that moment? Like, how does one player have the institutional knowledge and use that to his advantage, and how does the ignorance as bliss player play this hard out and try to use that to their advantage in that moment? And how do we get the moment that we got last night?
Bro, I don't even know what. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't
I gotta challenge you, bro. I gotta challenge you, man. I'm locking you in, dog.
No, I don't know.
I went from over here to here to here to over there.
I'm gonna try to unravel.
Got you.
Give me a second. Let me.
Okay.
All right.
Logan's got that bulletin board going with all the strings attached, connecting everything, or whatever. Now you got to make sense of it all, Raj.
Let's do it.
I would say that I felt for Asor in the moment. I was sitting there. We had we had Coach Milwee here from Texas, and we were kind of like, we were watching, talking, like this was going to be like kind of the first watch of it. And right when they had the ball tied, and Cade went to the basket and missed it. This was after the tip-in, I think, when Brunson missed and they tipped it in. I said, damn it, man. That's right then I felt terrible for him. And I said it out loud. I was like, he's going to kill them. And they were like, who? I was like, Jalen Brunson is going to kill them. Like he is going to make this shot. And I felt terrible for Asor because as soon as they came out and gave him the ball and there was nothing around him, I know that feeling. That is, I mean, like being in that gym with nobody in it. You're like alone. It's quiet. The seats are black. Like you could really feel him in that space because at a tied situation, everything's at his disposal. Like he in certain situations, you can, I don't know, by process of elimination, say, okay, I can kind of try to predict that this might happen. Any little edge you get like that as a defender is critical. In that situation, everything's available to him, and he gets to his left hand. The only thing I might have said to him was I might have tried to make him move right to start, right? Because once he moves left, as explosive as he is, you got to react. And as soon as he reacted, he snatched him. And that was it.
That was so disrespectful, bro. It was so disrespectful.
Even before he shot it, we were like, oh, shit, there it is, right? And so Look, I'm not going to break
he
down
was
the whole...
in downtown Detroit when he got at the beginning when he was locking them down, and he was down by the airport when he got shook, bro.
Yeah, no, but
that's a long way, as we know.
Yeah, and I felt terrible though because like that's just a really, that kind of is who Detroit is right now, right? Like scrappy as hell, game, ready to go. Like we're gonna fight you tooth and nail, but you got some stuff to learn, right? You have some wounds and some scenarios that you're gonna have to go through and learn from on your way to where you ultimately want to go. And while it sucked for them, that's just the reality of who they were as a team, right? And then on the flip side of that, the Knicks, I would say just what you do better as a more experienced team in a situation like that is execute. And that doesn't always mean like you're going to convert the bucket. It doesn't always mean you're going to it doesn't always mean it's going to show up on a stat sheet, but you're going to execute what you're trying to do. Like the box out on the Jalen Brunson shot we missed there. That's a critical box. That's a critical box. And I'm not here telling you that lost the game. That's not what I'm saying.
Or that after that free throw, the ball goes off of you when you're supposed to get a rebound. As just like simple stuff like that.
There are some things.
Throwing away the inbounds pass twice in the series.
Yeah. Those things are executionally like critical, especially late in games. Even the last play of the game, where a good play was made on that ball, it wasn't executed cleanly. You could see that before they started the process of whatever the play was before the inbound. And those are just things you have to learn. I don't know if I answered your question, but it was just the theme was we're in this dogfight. Like this team surely has a chance to beat us and could easily be winning this series. But if we get you down to 2 minutes, we know we're going to execute better than you guys will more often than not. And that just played itself out.
Cliff, come to the stage really quickly. Any final thoughts, sir? I know you got you took your buffs off. Your fur is somewhere. Your regal is in the shop.
Nah, I take my buffs off, man. It's still 3-1-3 all day. That's my second team for now. Hopefully we can get an upgrade.
You had to root for Tobias Harris for 2 weeks.
Yeah, right? Think about that. Tobias Harris, the guy who scored 0 points his last playoff game as a Sixer, and I had to end up rooting for him to go against the Knicks. But look, man, I just wanted to be right. I was hoping to break Ben Stiller's heart. He came on here popping his shit, man. And the Knicks pulled out. Look, man, the Knicks pulled it out. Jalen Brunson, he crossed up Thompson for that crazy three-pointer at the end. Malik Beasley, rock hands, you know what I mean? He had the rock. My man had the rock hands, couldn't catch the ball properly.
Somebody sent me a meme this morning about Beasley. It says Malik Beasley in the fourth, 0 points, 0 for 2 field goals, and 10 butterfingers. Giannis was right. Damn. Oh, God.
But look, Detroit got a bright future, man. I'm rocking with the 3-1-3, bro. Shout out to Sada Baby. Shout out to Babyface Ray. Shout out to Big Sean. Shout out to Jalen Rose.
All rappers that Howard and Raja know. Know all the words to every song.
T Grizzly, you know what I mean? Shout out to my guys in Detroit.
I know T Grizzly.
Oh, okay,
okay.
I know T Grizzly. 3-1-3.
I know T Grizzly.
Okay, all right.
Shout out 3-1-3, man. Detroit, you got a bright future, yo.
Yes, sir. FanDuel is letting you get in on all the NBA playoffs action right from the first tip, because right now all customers get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend when you bet the NBA playoffs. That's right. Just use your token on 3+ leg same-game parlay or same-game parlay plus on any NBA playoff game, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. Let's take a look at the slate. There's only one game. I'm taking the Warriors, taking the over on points with Steph, and taking the under on points for Jalen Green. And I love betting on FanDuel with their great promotions every day, their safe and secure app, and instant payments. There's no better place to bet on all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/RingerNBA and get a no-sweat same-game parlay every weekend of the NBA playoffs. That's FanDuel.com/RingerNBA. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 years and present in select states or 18 and present in D.C. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max fund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Let's quickly get to this game 7 between the Clippers and the Nuggets. I'm really excited about it. Really, I came on this pod, I texted Cliff, and whenever I text a prediction, it goes the other way. I was like, man, Clippers about to fumble this because we were going to laugh at the Clippers for 30 minutes. But the Clippers figured it out, and they're going to a game 7. Let's just quickly preview this game 7, do 5 minutes on it. Howard, how are you feeling going into this game 7? Who do you think can pull this out? And how many demons do the Clippers need to exercise to win this game 7? And how many will they if or when they do win this game 7?
All the demons. I don't know how many demons there are. There's an army of them. It's something out of just Lord of the Rings orcs coming at you. That's their demons that they got.
Demons on the wall.
They're everywhere. They're the demons on the wall, indeed. If the Clippers could only bring the wall with them from Intuit Dome.
It was popping it into a dome. Shout out to the Clipper fans. I didn't know there were that many.
It's there's 7 or 8 now, I think.
It was 7 or 8,000. I don't know if they was paying actors or what, but it was popping it into a dome.
Now, they got something special there with the arena, and even with this team, if they can stay upright for any length of time, we can address that another day. But Game 7 in Denver is going to be just absolute dogfight. This is going to be Logan, you were referencing old Laker teams from 15 years ago. This may look a lot like Game 7 of the 2010 Finals, where it's just going to be just ugly as hell. A lot of missed shots and a lot of nonsense, possibly. I don't know. I don't know how to handicap this. Everybody was burying James Harden after Game 5. He comes back with a phenomenal Game 6. Kawhi Leonard at any given time, we know, can go off. Norm Powell had a nice stretch last night. The Clippers have the ability to go in and win this thing, but I don't know. I still don't know what to make of Game 5. Was it altitude? Is it just general exhaustion? Was it just a bad night? Nikola Jokic in a Game 7, I'm putting my money on Jokic. I think I picked the Clippers in this series. I think I probably said Clippers in 7. I did a lot of hedging with 7-game series, didn't I? I just think a lot of these were really close, and this one was going to be one of those. It has been. The Clippers could have had control early on, should have been up 3-1 instead of being down. But yeah, I think there's a lot riding on this for the Clippers because you don't know if you're going to get another.
Organizationally, though, I think there's a lot riding on this.
Organizationally, spiritually, you let Paul George walk. You put all your eggs in the Kawhi Leonard basket. He comes back and looks like 2019 Kawhi for the last couple of months. Can you get another full season of that, or even another half season of that? Can you get another April or May of that? We don't know the answers to those questions. There are no answers to those questions. So there's only now, and if they lose this, I don't know where they go from here because I don't know how much mileage is left on him, and for that matter, James Harden, who's he's up there too now.
What do you think about this Game 7, Ra?
Yeah, I also picked the Clippers. I think I would tend to agree with Howard for all the reasons that you want a Game 7 at home, that this is the ultimate advantage in a 1-game scenario. We get that crowd, we get that altitude, we get everything that comes along with playing in Denver. I would just say this: Jokic is going to be Jokic. Jamal Murray is going to have to come along for the ride, and if he doesn't, someone else, either Gordon or Porter Jr., I'd even say Brown, but someone is going to have to play out of their mind next to him to win that game, right? So it's gonna need to look like that. And if it doesn't, I think I'd take the Clips, even in the hostile environment. But if they get the Jokic game and someone else gives them, that, hey bro, I stood on business tonight with you, I think they get it done.
Yeah, I mean, it has to. I mean, Michael Porter Jr., the way he played in Game 6, he has to ball out. And Howard just talked about how many demons the Clippers are exercising. I mean, the Nuggets are very well in all ways playing. Everybody in there is playing there for their survival on that team, right? Michael Porter Jr. is playing so he doesn't get traded, right? Or it's same with Jamal Murray, same with everybody not named Jokic. And Dave Adelman, who honestly, we're not doing this segment much anymore, but Ruin of the Week, man. Jeez. What he has done a hell of a job based on the circumstances. Howard is smiling like he was right a couple weeks ago. Whatever, bro. He ain't tripping off that. Everything we said is true.
I did nothing.
Okay, you did a little smile. Yeah, you feel me, right? You had a little smile like I told you, motherfuckers. But anyways, kudos and flowers to him. But Howard, like the Nuggets do have a lot of demons that they need to exercise as well. Like it's going to go both ways in that argument.
I mean, you don't fire your GM and head coach with 3 days to go in the regular season for no reason, right? It doesn't like
stupid.
There's an aspect of this where, you know, you lose in the first round and you go, yep, see, things were bad and we've got a lot to clean up. We've already started and we'll continue the cleanup on aisle 4 as soon as we get to our offseason. There's a version of this where they win Game 7. Who knows? You know, like, I mean, listen, I don't think anybody's beating Oklahoma. I don't think any of us have thought for a while that anybody's beating Oklahoma. But if you somehow pulled that off, now the organization's got to reevaluate everything. Now, like David Adelman is staying. That much is sure.
Based on how we talked about this series, I mean, the Nuggets, the fact that they're in this and that they are in the games that they have won, like this has been a very impressive showing no matter what, though, from the Nuggets, I believe, in this series. Considered what we all thought how the front office was messed up. We already talked about it, just the coach firing. For them to put on this performance and like Adelman and all the reservations we had, he's going toe-to-toe with Ty Lue and balling.
But we had him in like 7, didn't we? Like I had the Clippers in 7. It wasn't like, did you think they were going to get steamrolled?
I thought I don't know what I said, but like I was like, yeah, 6 might be in play because the Clippers were so good and so well coached, and also
six could have easily been in play. Like the man tipped the ball in with a 0.001 seconds on the clock. Like it's I agree with you. I'm not trying to take away any flowers from him, but this like we are where at least I thought we would be in a series like this.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair, Raja. I think like if this went 7 and we all thought it was going to go 7, then nothing has really changed, except that we don't know where the ultimate outcome is, right?
Right.
And if the Nuggets win and they go to the second round, and now you're facing the Thunder, okay, now it's how good do we look against the Thunder? Yep. Like everything that I think the Nuggets ownership and what's left of the front office every day is, have we seen enough to convince us that we still have the right core and the right interim head coach who could become the permanent head coach? Or every day are we seeing something that shows us, you know what, there are cracks, and the cracks are obvious, and the cracks are why we fired our coach and GM a couple of weeks ago, and the cracks are why we're going to go into this offseason thinking about some wholesale changes. And you know, like every game matters in that calculation.
Can I just say this real quick? Like, and this is, I mean, neither here nor there, but the what you're describing there, Howard, is a wild place to be in the playoffs, only because more than any other time of the year, the emotions and the swing of how you feel about your team are exacerbated every single night. Like you could feel great after a win. Oh shit, we're going to win a championship. One loss could have you feeling like you got to retool the whole thing. Like that's a crazy ride for decision makers to have to ride. Like at this stage in the season, it's so much easier in the regular season because like things are relatively flat. Emotions are flat. We're just watching these games play out. But the emotional roller coaster that is the playoffs and the swings within in a series, they're hard to keep a level-headed perspective about. Just even from a coaching or a playing standpoint, from a decision-making standpoint, it's got to be like fascinating.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not the people who are actually making the decisions, because they're going to presumably hire somebody to come in and do this, right?
Yeah.
But there is some semblance of a front office there that's still making these evaluations right now.
Roger, there was something that I wanted to talk to you about in light of the Bucks Pacers elimination game. What happened after the game because I feel like you have some insight to this, between Tyrese Halliburton's pops and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Why? Because I've been on a court after a game?
Because you've been on a court. Because you have been on a court after a game talking shit to, I don't know if it was the other players, but it was definitely the parents of the other players. But what do you think of this situation? And like, what's the balance that you have to have as a parent of a really, really good basketball player? And how do you balance like cheering for your son versus get into a situation where keeping it real goes wrong with Tyrese Halliburton's father?
Yeah, it's a good question. I reflected on this.
I bet you did.
Comparisons. I did. The difference.
When you saw it, did you look at yourself? Was like, is that? I'm not him, am I? That's not me.
No, because first of all, I didn't go up to anybody in particular. And I went over to my son. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you ran up on Giannis. Your son wasn't even in the fucking picture. Right?
In the middle of the court.
In the middle of the
Tyrese
court.
didn't even know he had done it until later.
That was hilarious, though. No, that was hilarious when like Giannis hugs Tyrese Halliburton, who has no idea this is going on, by the way, and then like walks past him. He's like, "I gotta holler at your pops real quick."
I went over, like, if you run over to Tyrese to celebrate, I think that's okay, provided Tyrese isn't like walking up to another competitor that was on the floor or singling out any single person and trying to rub their face in it. I don't know that if you're just generally celebrating, people are going to be beefing with you. Once you target someone, and it makes it even worse that your son wasn't involved in it. But once you target him on your own and you feel it necessary to go out there and like rub like
Roger,
Giannis
did you see the
like,
interview afterwards, bro? The interview that he had after Tyrese's
who,
dad had
Tyrese?
after he said something along the line. Cliff, come on real quick. What did he say? What did he say to the local television show?
This man got on the local news and said, "I was looking through Giannis. I wasn't looking at him. I had to."
He had the third eye open.
Superpower. I swear, yo, I'm not even lying. Wow. If any of y'all didn't see it, listen to the pod, please check out his interview with the local NBC affiliate out there in Indy. He literally said, "Yo, I was looking through Giannis. I wasn't looking at him." He said we dapped each other up at the game or afterwards and said, "I love you" or something to that effect. But yeah, it was one of the it was one of the craziest lack of accountability things I ever seen in my life. It's just like, yo, dog, take the L. You acted out. You went on the court. Giannis could have slapped the fire out you, and he would have been justified in doing it. Lucky he didn't put them paws on you because you might be in the hospital.
Leave the Philly
still.
dude to talk about fighting. Leave the Philly guy.
Listen. I'm just saying we see some things happen on NBA courts. So I'm lucky he didn't get the fire smacked out of him. I'm just saying that.
I would say, like, first, huge, like, issue in the NBA now about like having people on the court. Like, I heard it somewhere. Who said it? Well, Giannis said it. Giannis gave an interview about his family, and they don't even sit down by the court and what have you. And I thought I heard someone else say like they would have never in a million years dreamed of having a parent on a court. Like, they shouldn't be allowed on the court. Like, you sit in the front row, keep your ass off the court, right? Like, that's where it starts. Secondly, I kind of disagree with Cliff, and I'm usually like Cliff, quick to say defend yourself, but I don't think he approached Giannis in a threatening way that Giannis would have been warranted for putting his hands on him, right? It was still tacky. It was still like lacking in judgment.
You just said he could have had.
Like,
I said he could have. Yeah, I don't.
You open yourself up for that. You open yourself up for that when you out there acting like that. I would just, from a parent's perspective, like, I get being like in the moment with your kid, like that shit's exciting. You're hella proud, like all of that. Like, trust me, I've been there. Like, that's documented. Having said that, like, you can't be running out on an NBA court to anyone. Let alone Giannis, and be like, doing what he did. You just made it. You made a mistake. So I'm with you. You just got to take your medicine now, bro. Like, I'm not going to harp on it. Keep it moving. Take your medicine. I thought Tyrese approached it the right way. I was really taken aback. Like, and I got in the comments a little bit, and I usually don't do that, about the reaction to Hallie's kind of denouncing of what his dad did that night, just saying, I don't think he should be doing that. People were like skewering him in the comments. Like, you got to ride with Pops. You got to, like, I thought that was tacky as shit. I thought he handled it really, really well.
You got to hold your Pops accountable, man.
Yeah, dog.
No,
like, I thought
he said the right thing. I mean, like in the moment, like, I get it. I understand why people might react that way to an extent, but like, no, the right thing to do, and it speaks really well of Tyrese. Hell, this is a compliment to his dad, because you raised your son to have the kind of conscientiousness and values to say, yeah, that's my dad, but he was wrong, and I'm not afraid to say that in a public space here, considering what that looked like and the way it reflects on him, on me, on our team. And not for nothing, like, the Pacers put out the statement, like, I can't remember how they like soft pedaled it, but basically like John Halliburton's now banned for the foreseeable future from home and road games. I think it was mutual agreement or something, but come on,
is that too harsh? Like maybe just put him in a box for the rest of the playoffs? Like, I don't know. Like, can you suspend him for a couple of games or
throw him in the luxury suite?
Yeah, but do you, forever though? Can't go to any game?
I don't know if it's forever. I will say this. I do wonder. I've not checked into this at all, so I'm just talking out of my butt. I wonder if there was an NBA security piece of this where they said you can't let him back in, not even in the stands, because there has to be accountability after an incident like this. Now, granted, let's not overblow it. There was no blows thrown, nothing, like it didn't get too ugly or anything. But once you've done that and you've shown that kind of bad judgment, I could see why the league itself, possibly at the league security level, might have weighed in on this. Because, reasonably, you could say, come back to the games, but just don't put him courtside. Don't put him anywhere where he could be running out on the court and having another incident like this. Put him in a luxury suite where you're safely tucked away. That he's not being allowed at all, or by mutual agreement or whatever they're calling it, tells us something. I'm not sure what.
Welcome back to Pack Watch with Jomi, who is ready to make you feel worse about your team than you already do.
What's up, real ones? Welcome back to another edition of Pack Watch. That's right, it's the postseason. We're getting teams out of here. First team we got to get out of here, unfortunately, is my Los Angeles Lakers. Frankly, I don't even know what to say to you guys. I really don't. It's one thing to get got by Ant-Man, right? It's another thing, Julius Randle, balling, okay? Even Jaden McDaniels, he had a hot streak. Bruh, Rudy Gobert got eliminated by Rudy Gobert. Hey, look, you lose the series to Ant-Man. Hey, that's Ant-Man. But Gobert, 27 and 24, look like prime Hakeem out there, dog. You know what? I need to calm down. Luka, you hear what they saying about you, bro? They say Nico was right. You gonna stand for that? Hey, yo, they was talking about you crazy. Shout out Rudy, though. Rudy came hard in Game 5, you know what I'm saying? But we need more. Needed more. Lakers are all packed up. You hate to see it.
I want to talk quickly about one of our faves on the show before we get to the mailbag, because it needs to be documented. Anthony Edwards, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. What a week for the guy. What a me and Raza talked about this on Friday, just about how the resume that he is building thus far. How impressed, Raza, were you seeing in that closeout game of his performance and how he kind of galvanized that Timberwolves group, and how dangerous could Minnie be in the Western Conference?
Yeah, I mean, who do they draw next round? Sorry, my brain's
either between the Warriors or the Rockets.
Yeah, no. Listen, yeah, they could be very dangerous in a series against those two. I would take OKC if OKC were to come out of the other side against them in the Western Conference Finals. But I could definitely see a Western Conference Finals for them. As far as Ant is concerned, I was very impressed. Very impressed with. And he didn't score it great, but and this would be, kind of bigger picture, and if you're drawing a juxtaposition to like other stars, he produces for his team in a myriad of ways. Like, he can make a difference in parts of the game that don't always show up on a stat sheet, that contribute to winning in more ways than the stuff that shows up on the stat sheet. Defending, leadership. He had a bunch of assists and rebounds, but energy, all of those things contribute to winning. So if you don't score the ball great, even if you're a star, you're able to put forth an effort that helps your team, win games. And he's really, really good in that. I didn't think he was phenomenal as an offensive player. And way too often, even I fall guilty of this. That's what we quantify your greatness on, is your ability. I talk about it all the time, to move all the puppets, with your, that's purely offense we're talking about. That's purely offense. That's half the fucking game.
Yeah.
And so I give him a lot of credit because he plays the whole game.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like he's becoming back this national phenomenon. I don't know if you guys saw the clips of him walking from crypto to the hotel. Oh,
crazy.
Jeez. Just a superstar in the making. Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, we will send that post-pod.
He was literally in the streets. Like he was in the streets.
He was in the streets.
Yeah.
Everything he came out of his mouth was an instant quotable for years to come. He's just amazing. But like the question I have for you though, in the rivalry that we think between him and Luka Doncic, I would believe it's 1-1 right now. And it feels like Ant, at least in the public consciousness right now, is trending upwards above Luka in the young dude standings right now. And there's a little talk about Luka proving Nico right for whatever that means. I just roll my eyes at all those takes. That's just stupid. But where do you see Ant right now in the consciousness of young players, right? Where he low-key has the resume to stack up against all of the young guys that haven't won a championship but are expected to. What did this win over Luka Doncic do for that case and that resume?
Yeah, I mean, not to put too much on one series, but to just pull back for a second here. Like, Luka's got like the multiple top 3 MVP finishes. Luka would be there again this year if he hadn't missed too many games and ineligible because of injury and all that stuff. So like Luka still has a bit of the upper hand in terms of like he's got the finals appearance. He's got a little bit more of combination of hardware and higher MVP finishes. And Anthony Edwards, like I don't think he's going to finish top 5 this season either in the MVP results. We'll hear that in the next week or two, I think. But Logan, your question is like beyond the Basketball Reference page. It's kind of more of like the zeitgeist and the vibes. And like, yeah, Anthony Edwards has it right now. And not just because he just beat Luka head to head. It's like Luka, like some of that stuff that came out of Dallas is true. He was like, none of us agreed. Nobody on the earth agrees with the trade.
It's
but
like, you were stupid, but you might have had a point.
But
well, you remember when it happened, I said, if anybody fucking knows, they see him every day. Not saying that he couldn't have got more for the deal, but they see him every day.
And Roger, where you and I agreed on this is like there's probably something to all that, and they know more than we do, and that I don't think we did really disagree that much, but like you still can't trade him no matter what any of that stuff was. But yeah, the fact is we're looking at Luka a little askew, not showing up as he should have in the finals, not being in the best condition as he should have been during the finals, during parts of any of the last couple of years. Defensive, deficiencies or just complete, ignoring of responsibilities on defense. Anthony Edwards actually defends his tail off, not always consistently, but dude plays hard at both ends. He's a brighter personality. He's fun. He says stuff. Sometimes he says stuff that he shouldn't say, and then he gets fined, and then he gets fined again and again and again to the tune of like $380,000 for the season. But there's a personality
Howard,
there.
He's watching again.
He's fun. He's this bright personality, and Luka is like every answer is like 5 words. He tells you nothing. He reveals nothing. He's finally in some kind of fun commercials, but even in those, he's like barely says anything. Luka is still kind of like a mystery box as a person and a personality, whereas Anthony Edwards is just out there, like for better or worse, and we've seen both.
It's
we
so
kind of got a feel
because like
for who he is.
Everything you see on TV is what you get in person with Anthony Edwards, man. Like I got a little bit of the Anthony Edwards experience over the summer covering Team USA, and like, he is a walking like Pied Piper type of person, man. Like people, it's like a crowd always follows him, and it's not just because he's famous; it's because they just people genuinely want to be around him and hear what he has to say on any given moment. Like he may not want the face of the league, but it may be just above like anything that he has control over, man. Because like every time he is in front of a camera, it feels like he has another level to get to in terms of celebrity, but he's very much on the way to being a figure, whether he likes it or not. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, look, in a weird way, not wanting it and not trying too hard to get it. They become the people. That's why you get it, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. I just enjoy. Look, this isn't shade. I enjoy the fact, and what I'm hoping for Luka, honestly, what I'm hoping for Luka is what a lot of people, pointed out when he went and was able to team with LeBron, that if anyone was going to get him and have him see the need for taking care of the body and the responsibility and what you need to go through to be a true professional in that sense, it would be sitting right next to LeBron and seeing that everything that he does to keep that body moving the way it does. And that's my hope for him. Because honestly, not only did they see him every day, but the other thing I said was, do you know how bad it has to be? Like Nico's not an idiot. Now, I do disagree with what you got in for the trade and everything like that. Like there should have been, if you had to, but think about the bigger picture, how bad they had to think it was, right? And all I'm saying is if that continues, then this candle doesn't burn as long as it should burn. The talent
also in that LA market,
that is Luka. And I want to see it. I want it for him. Like, so I just hope that like after this, like a little upon reflection and stuff like that, that this summer he gets down to like brass tacks with like, yo, let me lean out, let me get in shape, let me commit myself to it in a way that I haven't, and that's my hope.
We'll see what happens. It's funny that we're talking him versus Anthony Edwards in this context, because Anthony Edwards had those question marks really early on in his career in terms of work ethic and learning how to work. And now, if you ask people around the league, I think Anthony Edwards is one of the hardest working guys in the league. And you can see it in his game and based on how it grows and grows and grows. So, I mean, Luka's in a different space right now, but it would behoove him to switch up his act right now because, like I said, in the Lakers market in LA, everything is magnified in a way that it just wasn't in Dallas. So, we'll see. Mailbag time. What's good, buddy?
Fellas. I'm still mourning my Pistons loss, but 3-1-3, you're gonna be back up next year.
I feel like that's just a cover for like just being sad about your Sixers not even making it there. Like you just have to. I feel like this is some residual too.
Listen, Detroit got some guys I can root for. Like I said, they got my man Isaiah Stewart's on the bench. He was hurt. Jaden Ivey's coming back. Cade Cunningham's the man. Just a little step back three. Killed us in the series. A referee no call, but, we'll be all right, man. Detroit, 3-3 all day, baby. All right, let's get this first question popping. Coach firings and Logan's fatherhood. What's poppin', fellas? Omar here from Tampa, which I'd like to start a petition to include as an expansion city. The Ringer has somehow become the Avengers of sports media world, and I couldn't be happier. That said, Real Ones will always be at the top of my listening list. Tuesdays and Fridays are my favorite days of the week. I don't want to belabor this topic. 1, because it's been talked about enough, and 2, because it seems to get Rodgers' blood pressure elevated. But I can sort of see the logic in the Malone and Jenkins firing.
Rubber baby Bobby Gumbert. Rubber baby Gummy. Let's go.
I do agree with Roger that if you're only comparing whether Malone would give the Nuggets a better shot than Adelman this postseason, it's an easy answer. Of course, it's Malone. And same with Jenkins giving the Grizzlies a better shot than to almost how you said, yeah, you can say that
from Finland.
Yeah. Sorry, dog. I ain't want to butcher the coach's name like that. But since we're real ones, let's be real. Neither team was going to win a chip this year, and I think both organizations had the self-awareness to realize that before the postseason started. Knowing that both coaches were probably going to get fired before the start of next season, if that's the case, letting Adelman and Tuomo's coach through the postseason in an interim capacity.
Did Howard ghostwrite this question?
Maybe office to get a snippet what they can do, which can help them make a more informed decision going into the summer about whether they want to commit to them in a permanent capacity or look for an external hire. If they waited until after the playoffs to fire Malone and Jenkins and they decide to take the chance on Adelman or Tuomos to start next season and they end up screwing it up.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, you just wasted
like
the whole
Howard
year
wrote
back
this.
to square one. Yeah,
I feel like Howard wrote this fucking question.
Also, Howard,
in all my spare time, yes.
Howard, for you, real quick, it says, "Give us your best pitch for Blue Sky because you missed you on Twitter, and I can't get myself to make a million social media account. Love you guys, and Logan, we need fatherhood update. All the shits. Omar Altuba.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Omar.
Would one of you like to go or?
I know what you're going to say. I mean, I would just say the little homie
this
is
question
like,
just set up for Raja to go off. So
yeah.
It was meant for Raja.
I don't
it was meant for you. It was meant for you. It was meant for you.
Okay.
Let me go back to my drama class.
But let me come back to the Blue Sky thing after he finishes.
By the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. Okay. No, listen, I would just if you were saying that I'm living in a world where Tomas, Isolo, and Adelman are going to be real candidates for your coaching vacancies, then I agree with what's being said there. Like, I can see that. We're going to give them a shot. We're going to essentially give them a head start on playoff experience by just throwing them into the fire this year. And they're 1A, like, in terms of our coaching search. Like, we think that they're the guy. We'll bring some other people in to interview them, but like, we think we got the guy. We need to confirm that. I'll concede. All right, okay. It's unorthodox. Like, I rarely see it, but I got that logic. If that's not the case, and these guys are just placeholders for a wide open coaching search where you're going to go with someone more experienced or something like that, then that is what I'm taking exception with. Like, I don't see why you would do that at that point, right? And so I'm not going to go all crazy and stuff like that. I do think that I don't think it's debatable that the former coach gave both of those teams a better chance of winning in the immediacy that is these playoffs. But if you are saying that these guys are your front runners for your job next year, I could understand giving them an opportunity in the playoffs, especially with all that was going on in those locker rooms.
Word.
I don't need to address the coaching thing again. We did it a couple weeks ago.
You wrote the question.
That was. Yeah.
Thanks, Omar Beck.
Thank you, Omar, my alter ego. He did ask about Blue Sky, and I did listen. I sympathize, Omar. Like, I know we all have way too many social media accounts. We all have just way too many things. So here's what I can tell you. Great NBA community on Blue Sky. It has grown by leaps and bounds over the last 3, 4, 5 months. Not everybody from Twitter, but a lot of familiar faces, both media, fans, shit posters, clip posters, scouts, film breakdown guys. Like, there's a really good NBA conversation happening there. And on most days, I don't even miss the fact that I'm really barely on Twitter anymore. So if that helps at all. By the way, no ads on Blue Sky, no algorithm pushing misinformation, bad actors, various propaganda. So that's a benefit. Smaller, but better engagement. And if nothing else, you can come find me there because I'm not going to be back on Twitter as long as it's owned by the current owner. So,
hey, man, I'm with you. Man. Shout out to Blue Sky.
Shout out to Blue Sky.
So this headliner here for this email is Detroit basketball. This is from Martin Ouellette.
Nice.
Hello, we just all write emails to ourselves.
This one?
That's what I'm saying. He's got damn, Romans really ain't even fucking with us like that. We got 2 of the guys just to give us questions because we probably didn't have questions. Jesus, that's messed up.
All right, this is from Martin Ouellette. Hello, friends. Long time, big time here. As an underdog booster, I've focused on the Pistons for the past few years. I'm a K believer, and I'm also stuck with Stu and Duran through their sophomore struggles, so it's rewarding to see them excel. My question is threefold. First, should the Pistons stand pat this summer and focus on internal growth and refinement, or go after some sort of alpha scoring punch? As a leader in another pro sphere, I know how important it is to enable trust and stability and usually prefer reliability, consistency, and team building over raw individual talent. But when you have the chance to bring in a ringer to put your shit over the top, sometimes you have to take that disruptive risk. So yes or no is my first question. If you do think they should bring in more punch out of the big time free agents this summer, who could be the best tailor their game and attitude to fit what the Pistons already have going on? I'm a Booker guy, but they could also use more bang on the inside. Finally, what are your best practices for integrating new top line talent into an organization without causing a ruckus? Thanks for all the shits, Martin. Detroit basketball.
Was it
We
Martin
back,
in Detroit?
man.
Wasn't Martin in Detroit, right?
It was in Detroit.
It wasn't
Martin.
Detroit. He's from DC though, right? But like the show was in Detroit. The show was in Detroit.
It was in Detroit. Yeah. Shout out to Martin and Gina, man.
What was I gonna say? I don't know, man. Based on the thing, I think they should just stand pat. Cause Cade is that dude. I think they just keep on building around him. And like Booker is the only trade piece that I would consider going to go get. I just don't know the fit there. It'd be cool to have another scoring guard, but it would depend on how Devin Booker just kind of transitions into that role, which I think he can do, but I don't see that happening. And so, yeah, I think it should stay pat. And it's hard to integrate another star into the fold just because of egos, and not only egos, just like stars are used to getting wherever they want to get onto the floor. So to adjust that, it takes some time, and just adjusting your game into a flow of a whole completely different offense after you have an offense catered to you is a hard thing to do. So those are my answers.
I have a story, as it happens, on theringer.com right now.
Hey.
Go read it
Let's go.
about Detroit basketball.
Let's go.
It's
read it.
and about a lot of those questions, actually, because over the last couple of days, while also hitting the games that were in New York, I hit up a couple of folks around the league just to kind of start looking forward, like what's next for the Pistons? Where do they go from here, assuming that they were going to lose the series, or where, even if they won the series, like what's next? The consensus that I've gotten is basically, stand pat. Like, you don't need to hit the gas yet. You just broke through. You tripled your win total. Cade's going to be all NBA. I expect, when those results are out soon. Jalen Duren's looking great, making strides. Asar Thompson's freaking awesome, already one of the best defenders in the league. If he develops a 3-point jump shot, he's
best defender in the world, according to Malik Beasley.
So there's a core group there. Like, they got through this series. They didn't even have, as we said, Isaiah Stewart and Jaden Ivey. There's some doubts about whether Ivey makes sense as a long-term fit there. They've got, the veterans who were so key, aside from Tobias, who's under contract, but Beasley's a free agent, Schroeder's a free agent, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a free agent. Do they bring all those guys back? Is it maybe more like 2 of those 3? But you've got this good young core. You've got your franchise star in Cade. It's really hard to have multiple stars for cap reasons in today's NBA. So don't go rush out and lock up your cap, take away all of your flexibility when you don't need to yet. You just got here. It's okay to let your young guys, their 3 best players are all 23 and under. Just let it ride. Let them grow. And that's mostly the opinion from folks I talked to around the league. But it hit me this morning when I was looking at the quotes from last night. Tom Gores, the owner of the Pistons, did a pregame presser, which was interesting, before Game 6 to decide to do it then, where he talked about the big picture, and he's talking about urgency. I'm like, my guy, your team just finally arrived. You have made way too many changes. He's gone already through 6 GM team president types and 6 head coaches in the last 15 years. Just slow down. Let Trajan Langdon and his staff, who are doing a great job, let them advise you on how to proceed from here, which will probably involve a little bit more patience and a little less urgency for the time being.
That's dope. Real quick, do you think if they put a flyer on a guy like Ty Jerome, would that be worth it? Give him a little bag.
Couldn't hurt. But moves around the edges that.
That's different than trying to get a Devin Booker or a Kevin Durant or something.
Or blow it up for Brad Bill.
Or or getting sucked into the Zion sweepstakes or something crazy, right? Don't go after any of the disillusioned stars. You're not going to be in the Giannis sweepstakes anyway, probably. You don't need to make those kind of drastic moves. The one guy I thought about, one of the people I talked to this week was well, they need not the most expensive version of this, not a Karl Anthony Towns, but a modern day big who can step out a little bit, hit the mid-range jumpers, stretch you out to 3, put the ball on the floor a little, somebody who can do the things that Duren and Isaiah Stewart don't. And I'm thinking Larry Markkanen's going to be available possibly this summer, but I don't know that that's the move to make for this team. And again, you don't need to make anything drastic right now.
Cool. All right, final one. This is from Cleary Percy. Hey, guys, I wonder your guys' opinion on what the fuck Jason Tatum has to do to stop being consistently underappreciated and ignored in NBA discussions. Let me preface this by saying that I'm not Let me preface this by saying I'm not a Celtics fan.
Did Michael Pina go straight this one?
Yeah, do we know? Do you know where we work? Do you know who we work?
But this is a guy.
Dog, they talk about the Celtics on the Simmons pod all the time. Jack Lowe just made a joke to Bill talking about how, we're going to talk about the Celtics again? Dog. This is the last site where Jason Tatum is underappreciated.
Oh, my God.
This is the very last site in the very last show.
I don't think he's referring to the site, though. I think he's referring to just the general NBA discussion.
The world at large?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, bro.
I mean, they just say Celtics City. You can't say the Ringer doesn't cover the Celtics. Yeah. But this is a guy who in that Magic series, even with the bone bruise, averaged 31, 11, and 5. Once that I saw that Tatum joined Larry Brown as the only 2 Celtics in NBA history to score 35 plus in 3 straight playoff games. what the heck else does this guy have to do to start being appreciated more by the casuals and NBA fans in general? Win another
Not be
title,
bland.
MVP. He's an awesome player.
It's nothing to do with his game. He's amazing. Okay,
He's
Be a little bit more Anthony Edwards and a little less Luka.
He's an awesome player with the sneaky elite bag, and it just feels like more people should care. Would love to hear your thoughts. Cheers.
I think we said all of our thoughts
Go ahead,
through the
Howard.
question.
All right, hold on. Here we
Go,
go.
Ra.
Jason Tatum, 6-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, will be 5 when it comes out soon. MVP finishes. He's been 4th. He's been 6th twice. He's almost certainly going to be top 4, if not top 3, in the results that are coming soon. And he's finished behind better players who had better seasons in MVP voting, and it's not a knock. And it's not a knock to be consistently top 4, 5, 6 in MVP. He's also part of an ensemble in Boston where like Jaylen Brown's also really super good, and Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Al Horford and Porzingis. Like he's part of a great team. It's a little different than when you're Jokic lifting up an entire team of guys who aren't as great as the guys I just named. Like it's just different. And to Logan's point, he's a little dry.
Yeah, dude. Look, this one's simple. He is a phenomenal player. Anybody disrespecting what he is as a player is stupid. Like that, that's not debatable. But there's such thing as like an it factor, like having a little bit of like, it's an unpredictable, unquantifiable thing, right? Like a Q rating, for instance, like people have to want to consume it. You don't get to dictate who becomes the person that the media and the public want to consume. That shit just happens on its own. And for whatever reason, like, other people move the needle more than he does in the sphere of like global or NBA stars. It's just what it is. I don't know what it is, but that's your answer, right? Like there's something, and it might just be dry, Howard or Logan. That might be what it is, but it's not. He doesn't have that thing. You know what I mean?
It's that personality, man. I seen he dropped the vlog though. He did like a sneaker vlog. It looked kind of cool. He just showed his.
You gonna watch it? Probably.
He showed a shoe collection. I saw it on the gram.
You know what's crazy about that is you could press. This is not unlike the Anthony Edwards conversation we had before. You could do everything. You might not be dry. You might not be dry at all. You might have a great personality and like you want to show that to people. It still might not matter. Like the jury is in on that, right? They're like, yeah, we don't really like, whatever.
We still gonna get them compilations of him like copying other people's speeches and stuff. Like it's still gonna happen. Like there's also, man, favorite players is gonna get slandered at some point in time, bro. That's what sports is and fan bases. That's what happens, dog. Jeez, you know how many? I grew up a Kobe fan. You know how many times he got slandered?
Bro, I don't want to hear anything about this because you can lay low, make $300 million, fall back, and be with LMA. Sounds like a good life to me.
Yeah, I mean, but they ain't talking about his life. His life is
there. You go.
Yeah, like come on. We're good. That was a mailbag.
Jason Tatum's fine. He's fine.
He's fine.
He'll be okay.
And a hell of a player.
I promise.
Like, what do you mean?
Great player. All right. That's been another edition.
Wait, Jason Tatum's with LMA?
Yeah.
Oh.
Damn, dog.
Yeah,
you're not on page 6? You don't be tapping in?
Yeah, he booed up.
You don't know the what happened to the Roger Bell T report?
But stop playing with me, man.
Oh, we're getting loopy. Yeah. All right. That has been another edition of Real Ones T Report and Mailbag. You can check us out. We're going to do Raja, Howard, myself on Tuesday. So back-to-back Mailbag episodes. realonesmailbag@gmail.com, realonesmailbag@gmail.com, realonesmailbag@gmail.com. I'm going to make it's Roz's turn to do the ads. So we're going to go do that and tap in and see you Tuesday. All the shits. Bye. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.